Hey guys, what's up? It's munclesonkey and welcome to a quick guide today. Today I'm going to be teaching you guys how to do Saradomin hard mode God Wars dungeon solo. So the main reason you'd want to do this boss is for the pet drops. Saradomin hard mode does have slightly better regular drops than the normal God Wars dungeon Saradomin, yet it's probably not worth doing for money because it does take so much longer to kill the boss in hard mode than it does in the regular mode because you essentially have to kill her twice. But if you are only going for the pet, it is 5 times more common in hard mode than it is in regular mode. So if you just want that Auburn lock drop, this is your best bet for how to kill Saradomin. And today I will teach you how to not fail at this boss as badly as I am doing in this kill. But hey, picked myself up a nice Armadillo crossbow while making this video. I'll take that any day of the week. I will be showing a higher level setup as well as a lower level setup, so feel free to use the links in the description to skip to the one that is useful for you. So this is the higher level magic setup. This is the most effective setup at soloing hard mode Zilyana, and this is what you want to bring. I'm wearing Tectonic armor. You can also swap that out for Virtus armor and still be fairly okay. I do have Seismics. Noxious Staff also works completely fine. Tehran Wind Quiver for the prayer bonus, Virtus boots and gloves. The rings, both of them, Ring of Vigor, as well as an Asylum Surgeon switch, since you will be using ultimates twice per kill, so it's very important to have the Vigor. Then I also have a Dark Magic Aura for dealing additional magical damage, a Scrimshot of the Elements, and then in the inventory, some Adrenaline Flask, Overload, Prayer Renewal, Runes for Vulnerability, Spring Cleaner, Food, and Prayer Potions. Okay, so for the preliminary fight, you kill Saradomin as normal, but the main thing that you want to prioritize is after you kill Saradomin, you want to go into phase 2 of the fight where she respawns and you have to kill her again with 100% adrenaline. So not counting the first kill of the instance on every preceding kill, you want to start out with using Tsunami, and as long as that hits a critical hit, it will also increase your adrenaline gain by 10% for the next 30 seconds, which is very nice. Invigorate Aura can also be good here, and then you want to use the Vigor switch as well to have some additional adrenaline after using that ultimate. Save your adrenaline potion for phase 2 of the fight, so do not use it during phase 1. And after she's dead, she'll stand there for about 8 seconds, kind of looking like a derp, and then when she's finally respawned, you want to immediately use Vulnerability to increase the damage you deal against her by 10% for the next minute, which should be enough to finish off the fight. Now Saradomin will constantly cast these lightning things on the ground, and every single time she raises up her sword, you want to step a couple squares away, otherwise you get owned very quickly. So you want to run around your Sunshine, use your Adrenaline Pot, and make sure you use your Wild Magic as well as your Asphyxiate within the Sunshine, and she'll go down. Now she has to die within the Sunshine because she needs to be finished off by an ultimate to end the kill, and the bleed damage that the Sunshine will inflict on Saradomin does count as ultimate damage, and it will finish her off. This is my range setup for killing Saradomin, and I do have to warn you guys, ranged is not nearly as effective as magic because it doesn't have as good of accuracy as magic does here. However, if you just have range gear and you don't happen to have magic gear, it still is fairly effective, and the kills can be comparable in speed to the magic kills. So this is the setup that I use. I use Ceramic Armor. Again, you can swap that out for Pernix, and it works pretty good as well. Pernix boots and gloves. I still have the Vigor and Asylum Surgeon's ring switch. For my aura, I have Invigorate. It also works really good with magic here as well. Scrimshot of Cruelty, and a Blood Necklace, because the Blood Necklace is really good at everything God Wars Dungeon. Then I do have a Noxious Longbow. Ascension Crossbows also work. I just personally use Noxious Longbow because for the PVM activities I do with range, it's more effective, but use whatever tier 90 range weapons you happen to have. Then for the inventory, Overloads, Food, Prayer Potions, Adrenaline, Yak with Scrolls, Spring Cleaner, all the standard stuff, Portent of Life as well if you are a little bit afraid of death here. So for range, we will be following the same strategy that we did with magic, except this time we'll be using Death Swiftness instead of Sunshine. So as I said earlier, the range does have a little bit less accuracy, and also some of the ranged abilities that are normally really good, Snipe and Rapid Fire in particular, aren't nearly as effective here because on the second phase you're not able to use them as much, or you do have to use the ability and then cancel it because Saradomin might use her lightning and that really hurts. But anyway, for the first phase, just get her down as normal. Make sure to use your fragmentation shot and then stand under her or step a square back to deal some extra damage on her. But mostly, you just want to be using basics so that you have 100% adrenaline heading into phase 2, as well as snapshot and rapid fire to get phase 1 down. It's pretty easy, and in this gear, you should have absolutely no issues with phase 1. So as soon as phase 1 is down, again, use a few abilities on one of the minions. So we don't have any vulnerability or anything to use on Saradomin because we're in ranged gear, so we're going to have to do slightly better damage than we did with the mage. mage. So what I like to do initially is use Fragmentation Shot and then move as soon as phase 2 starts. And then I use my Death Swiftness. Make sure you get your Ring of Vigor switch in there. Drink your Adrenaline pot. And then the abilities that you mainly want to use is Snapshot is really good, as well as Shadow Tendrils and Bombardment. Those are the 3 thresholds that are going to give you a lot of extra damage to take this down. So the main reason I brought Portent of Life with range, not with magic, is because with the Shadow Tendrils, you're going to be hurting yourself every kill. So there is a little bit more risk for death here, but as long as you just make sure to eat if your health gets too low, you should be fine. And now we go to the, in quotations, low level setup. It's not really that low of level. You still need some decent stats and gear in order to be able to solo hard mode Saradomin, but it's not called hard mode for no reason. But this gear is definitely much worse than the gear shown previously and much easier to obtain. So here I'm using tier 80 magic. You can either use the Chaotic Staff or the Dual Virtus, and then I have Sea Singers. If you do not have the superior version, you can buy Sea Singers off of the GE. It's not that expensive, and it does last about 10 hours in combat, so you'll have that for a while. I also have the Quiver from the Elf Task for a little bit of prayer bonus. I have Subjugation boots and gloves. You can also just swap that out for your best magical defensive boots and gloves, and then a Shard of Zeros for Godwar's Dungeon Protection because we're not wearing any next items. Vampirism Aura is good, Penance Aura is good if you don't have any of those higher tier auras, and then in the inventory you do want to have Overload, Prayer Renewal, lots and lots of prayer pots. You're not going to need very much food, so make sure that in your familiar you have mostly prayer pots. And then also bring a Spring Cleaner if you have it, and a Sign of Life, since we're not going to be using Scrimshaws since they're very expensive and this is a lower level setup. So the reason why this lower level setup is so effective, how I said earlier you really don't need all that much food, doesn't have as much to do with exactly what you're wearing or what type of weapons you have, but it has a lot more to do with the method of how you're going to be killing Saradomin. So for the first phase, phase 1, it's really just as standard. Again, make sure to build up your adrenaline. You will be using ultimates during phase 2, so it's very important to build that up as quickly as possible. Make sure you use Combust and your thresholds, so Asphyxiate and Wild Magic, and Combust, Step Away, so you double the damage as well. But overall, phase 1 should be really easy. This is a very tanky gear setup with the Sea Singers and Overloads and a decent defense level. Not too much damage should be taken during phase 1. Saradomin really does have quite a bit of trouble hitting through good magic armor, as that's the best armor to use against her. So we're finally done with phase 1, and this is where things start to change up a little bit from how we killed Saradomin with the higher level gear. And unfortunately, this method is much slower, because what we'll be doing is running around the room, so you shouldn't be hit by any of the lightning attacks at all. Combust is a very important ability to use here. So essentially you just don't want Saradomin to get within melee distance of you, so she won't be able to use her melee attack, which is nice because that attack can hit quite high, and she also won't be able to use her special attack on you at all, or if she does use it, you'll just run away from it, so why does it matter? And you want to run around the room. You mostly don't want to use any sort of abilities that would stop you, so you don't want to use the magic version of Tendrils. And you can throw in an Asphyxiate every now and then if you do get a good distance ahead, but mostly just use basics. Make sure to prioritize Combust is very good since it will automatically double the damage since she's moving. Dragon Breath is really good, and of course the ever prevalent Wild Magic. So you also want to make sure you're at or near max adrenaline by the time she goes down, and then you can either use Tsunami or Omni Power in order to finish off the kill and take her down. And that's how you do it. You will hardly take any damage at all. You're really only taking damage from the minions, and it works quite well. So that's about all for this video. Thank you guys for watching. Hopefully it can help you out a little bit with how to kill Saradomin in hard mode. And if you do end up soloing a pet in Saradomin hard mode, let me know. That would be awesome. Of course, the pet is 5 times more common in hard mode, so when I eventually go for that Saradomin pet, I will probably be doing this exact same thing as well. Anyway, I'll see you guys next time. I might do a hard mode guide on Bandos or Armadillo next. Let me know what you think. Anyway, that's all for me. Farewell.